Melvin, we're here in a beautiful building. This is Cultural Crossroads. You have these beautiful quilts hanging on the wall, but you do a whole lot more than that. Tell us, what are you involved in?
Well, our main program in our area is to save our kids in every aspect. Right now, education is a big key. Education, behavior, within the kids going through the youth court system, and the whole bottom yards, because our kids are falling through the gaps. So we have created programs to pretty much catch the kid in every gap that they fall in, from education, mental health, human service, as well as the legal field too.
Mm-hmm. So getting them off the street, getting them into some type of program that they like to do. Yes. Evidently you have an idea for that.
Yes, I mean, as a creating mentoring programs, that's what we have. We have leadership programs, ACT prep programs that we have. We have the media communication program that we're working on, and we're looking at bringing what Culture Crossroad was big on is the peanut butter and jelly plays. So we're trying to bring all those components back so we can actually have our kids doing something instead of just twiddling the phones on their computers, because an idle mind, as they say, it's the devil's workshop. So we have to get our kids exposed in the things that we were in when we was coming up. Mm-hmm.
And of course the things that you do make the court system less of those kids in that court system.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you got when you say that the peanut butter and jelly theater, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I know you don't have that anymore, but what was that?
It was actually a stage play with youth, and they would travel all across, not just Mississippi, all across the state, putting on these plays. These are remarkable plays. And after the end of the plays, everybody will sit down and have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Very good. Now, you are not replacing that, are you?
No, we're not replacing that. What we're doing is we're going to add on to it. We're just going to take it into a new generation and put a new spin on it. Because most of our kids are more into the music industry now. So we have to cater our kids to something that they enjoy doing. You have kids that love music, so you have those producers, you have those actors, you have those people, those kids that like to play instruments. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take all that and try to put it in one. You have your class clowns, so we'll let them actually do comedian stuff within that and just make it a whole round show and teach them to cater their craft.
Tell us about this minstrel program that we hear about. This is, of course, this is in its infancy because things have to get going on it. Yes. But tell us about it.
Oh, man.
Rabbit's Foot.
The Rabbit's Foot Minstrel, what it was a traveling show back in the early 1900s. And they had them actually within the South, and people went to them for entertainment. You know, back in our days, you know, you had people that was down, but they on the weekend they had a chance to get away, laugh, look at traveling shows, listen to music, actors, the whole comedian thing. And we're trying to bring that back in our area with our youth today. Mm-hmm.
And have you seen youth that you'd say, oh, they'd make a good this or that?
Oh, yes. I mean, if by being in the school system or the court system dealing with youth, you find out we have a lot of good actors. Within that, we have to teach them how to use their craft in order to in drama. Mm-hmm. So once we teach them how to use their craft in that, actually it will help the show goes on, and it will actually give them an aspect to look to take up when they're in college. Some might want to take up drama. Mm-hmm. Some might want to take up musician. Some might want to take up upholstery, as a teaching them how to create stage plays and the whole 9 yards. We just want to take the kids and expose them to things that they have never seen before, and especially in our area, and show them that these are things that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, I suppose some people may think that Crossroads is for quilters. You see a lot of quilts in here and so forth, but you do a whole lot more than that.
Yes, we have within the state of Mississippi, they did not have funds to create a reading program or after school program. So what we did was we came together and we created our own after school reading and math program, because if a child don't know how to read and a child cannot count, how can that child get a good education? So we're trying to help the school district and mothers and fathers and try to bring the educational component back within our youth and make them more successful in what they're doing.
Do you use teachers from the local schools?
When we have a couple of teachers, actually we have a district attorney, a prosecuting attorney that actually come in and work on the English. Then I have a college student that helps with math. So we everybody group in as a family to help out and do what we do.
Very good. I want to get back to the Rabbit's Foot Minstrel only because of the fact that that's an exciting program. What are the phases? How do you, where are we now and where do we want to be?
Well, actually this summer we actually will be taking auditions trying to figure out what kids fit in different components. For those that's interested in drama, give them the opportunity to come and audition for different actors' positions. Those that's in the music positions that plays instruments, give them a chance to audition to be a part of the music part of that. And those comedians, those class clowns, or that child that's at home and he's making auntie and grandmama laugh, we want to take that child and put him within this program because it's something for everybody. If it's even just help building stages, if it's pulling out somebody wardrobe, it's just something, just putting everything together. We have young ladies that actually does hair, so actually could go back and let them do hair, makeup, and all that. We want to expose our youth into the field of drama that they had back in their early days.
Well, Melvin, the other thing that the minstrel had was dancers.
Yes.
Boy, I bet you got a bunch of those here.
Yes, actually in our area, mostly everybody see about the dancing dolls. Actually, you have dance groups all over Mississippi, and we have probably around about 5 or 6 groups. So we want to actually get those girls in to audition and let them try out for the dancing scenes that they had back in the early days. And we're trying to go back to the outfits, the whole 9 yards, so they can actually get a feel of what happened back in those days, before the Motown days, before Saturday Night Live. So we want to give them a feeling to show them exactly how it was, how it began.
Melvin, what about your educational program? That seems to be an exciting part of this center.
Yes, the educational is a key component. We have, like I said, we have the ACT prep program where we have a lot of our kids, and not just in this district, we have kids in other districts that have been successful as of making high scores on their ACT, getting full scholarships. We have a private accredited high school that works with them. Actually, we have 2 of them. One is the University of Mississippi Virtual Online High School that we're partnership with. So a child don't have to be in a regular school setting. He can actually come to our program and finish his high school year up with us. As well as we have another school called Orion out of Midland, Texas. And that's one of our biggest programs that we have. And we do have the whole 9 yards, as we have a graduation for them. For the ones that attend Orion, we have a graduation for them at Alcorn State University. The ones that attend the University of Mississippi Virtual Online High School, they graduate from the University of Mississippi. So we have something for everybody in that aspect, as well as the adults. We have a lot of adults that are coming back. Instead of them getting a GED, they're actually coming back getting their high school diplomas.
Felicia, I'd like to talk about the Crossroads, and I know you have a very strong passion for it, and you also have a very strong passion for quilting.
Indeed.
Indeed, you certainly do. Are you a quilter yourself?
I am not a quilter. I started, we had a quilting workshop here, and I sat in on the quilting workshop and learned how to do something. I've made a few squares, but I've never really put it together and completed a quilt. I have 2 in the works, but they're just in the works.
In the works. Tell me, what is so great about Cultural Crossroads?
Everything. I always say Cultural Crossroads can't be put in a capsule. We do so many things, quilting being just one. It's a major part of who we are, but we do a lot of things in terms of arts, education, and cultural awareness. And certainly quilting binds all of that together, kind of has some elements from all of that. What's so great about us is, I also say that we are opportunistic, as everybody has trouble with funding.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever we find money to do is what we do. So if we get a grant that allows us to present a performing artist, we present a performing artist. If we get a grant that allows us to put on a literary speaker or an oral history conference, that's what we do. But we're looking for things in that genre of activities to put on.
I suppose it could be easy to be negative because there's so much of that in the world. Positivity is something that people try to look for. And I guess, when you're turned down for something, it is those people who think positive that say, okay, if we can't do it that way, let's do it this way.
That's how we have survived for 38 years.
38 years.
We were founded in 1978 based on an NEA grant that allowed us to take young people and help them celebrate and understand the culture of Southwest Mississippi. So we taught them to take photographs and do interviews and document the community around them so that they celebrate who they are and where they come from. A lot of times we look for fame and greatness in other places, and you don't celebrate where you are. You don't think of, quilting or the art that we do here, or the food that we prepare. You don't think of that as special because it's what you have every day. We were actively trying to get those young people to see the greatness in their own community.
Are some of them doing quilts now?
As a matter of fact, some of them are doing quilting, and some of them did pursue careers in acting and theater and those kinds of things. And it's fun always to have people come back, even kids who are in the school district now who look at some of the artwork around here or even the murals on the outside, and they see a name and they say, oh, that's my grandmother. That's my aunt, or when people come back, it's fun for them to show their grandchildren and to show their relatives. I participated in that. I helped do that or create that. And so we have kept and preserved a ton of children's artwork over that 38-year period, a ton of quilts that have been created, and other things that have been done over that history.
Is the art of quilting dying?
Some might say that, but I look at it as it's in revival mode. We are actively trying to revive the art of quilting. It's true here in this area. Our quilters who were here, they were called the Crossroads quilters. They came, they did whatever they wanted to. They sat and looked out the window and quilted and watched the world go by, literally. Well, those quilters, that generation has gotten older. Some of them have died. Some of them have moved, to be near grandchildren or whatever, and some have gone into other endeavors. We are actively using some of those quilters to bring in a new generation of quilters, younger women, to get them interested in it. It's not only preserving the tradition, which is critically important to us, but it's also the creative economy, because there's an appreciation for quilts and the art of quilting, that we are a venue for them to present their artistry to the community and to the world. And we want them to see that if you're sitting at home, if you're unemployed or underemployed, here is something you can do. It's a form of self-expression, but 3 months later, it's also potential for income. So,
and it usually takes about 3 months to do a quilt?
Yeah, generally speaking, and a lot depends on the style, the pattern that you choose, the speed of the individual quilter, and that kind of thing. We have quilters who can turn out a full-size quilt in a month. and others who take maybe 3 months to do a wall hanging size. But it all has to do with the intricacy that they put into it.
I asked you that question about whether quilting was dying only because the older women that do it are passing away, and if the younger women don't do it, then the art is lost.
That is true. That is true. And that is why we are actively trying to cultivate a new generation of women who have the interest in self-expression, as I said, and all the history of quilting, the rich history that goes along with it. For example, when people lose a loved one of the things that they do is take that loved one's clothing and they bring it and allow us to make a beautiful quilt out of that clothing. This is part of the tradition. Back in the day, it's what you did when your kids outgrew the clothes or they wore out. You took those clothing and take those scraps and made quilts to keep them warm. It was a necessity. It was a practical thing. But now it is an art form and a loving remembrance. I always tell people, I can remember that when I was a child, there were certain quilts that would go on the bed, and my mom had made them from the scraps of some clothes, and I could lay in bed and reminisce. She used to wear this dress every time we went to town. Seemed like I always got a whipping when she wore that piece. You know, it just certain things, and it brings that warm and fuzzy feeling, that nostalgia. That's the kind of heartstring that this thing really touches.
I think even though we get wild, we always come back to what was.
That's right.
And I think you're right with the quilting. And I never realized how many different stitches. You know, they just stitch it. You know, you just put the stuff together so easy. But there are so many different ways.
That's exactly right. There are so many different patterns. I mean, named patterns. There's the wedding ring, then there's the double wedding ring, there's the log cabin, there's the string quilt, which is really, really wildly popular. It's a simple thing, and yet it takes a certain artistry and a certain eye to put it together just right. And I'm telling you, when in the heyday of quilting, you'd see the ladies who had made the squares, and then they lay the squares out on the floor and try different configurations to see which one is most visually appealing. So it takes a certain eye and a certain artistry and a certain feeling about that, you know. And then there are, today's quilts have a little extra sophistication. People play with light and shadow and can create the most fabulous 3D effects. Other people can take those textiles and make story quilts that literally jump out at you. And so it's just really fascinating and amazing. The only limitation is the imagination of the creator. It's really fascinating.
Where do you see Crossroads going?
Hopefully up.
Yes, of course.
Hopefully up.
Hopefully up is right.
I am hoping that we can be kind of the epicenter of culture for Port Gibson, for Claiborne County, really for showcasing the talent and artistry and the uniqueness of our own town and community. We are the third oldest county in Mississippi, and we're kind of proud of that heritage.
Not just for quilts.
Not just for quilts.
Involve more of the family.
In the entirety of our community, we're known for having the longest civil rights boycott in history of the movement. Right. We've got Alcorn State University in our back door. That's part of how this community has evolved, how the college evolved, and how the community around it has evolved. We want to certainly commemorate that and preserve that history, but also part of what we do is bring the best of the world here to this community. We bring Smithsonian quality exhibits here. We bring world-class performers here. We bring world-renowned authors and lecturers here so that our community doesn't necessarily have to travel 50, 60 miles to enjoy the finer arts or to learn crafting or whatever. But we want to be the epicenter where people come together. Ultimately, art for art's sake is wonderful. It really is. But there's something that binds people together. And that's what that's the essence of Cultural Crossroads, is bringing people of diverse backgrounds, whether that's age, whether that's race, whether that's gender, bringing people together in a safe space where we can talk about what binds us together, what we have in common, and grow from that, and celebrate our differences as well. The things that make us different make the world go round. It makes the world an interesting place. And to learn respect for that, mutual respect for people who may have a different opinion or a different thought pattern or a different custom. We want to do culture nights where we have a gathering where we maybe transform Cultural Crossroads into an Indian wedding, or into an African funeral procession, or into a New Orleans style, bistro, where people experience different places in a genuine kind of way and just, kind of get to know the world right here.
You have a special program that you do here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I have I do the music here, specifically percussions. Percussion is, I do this for the youths and really adults as well. I've had some students from Alcorn State University come here, and I've been doing this for a while for us and the music. Let me give you a little of my background. I've started playing drums when I was so high, 6 years old. So I've really been playing drums for about 50 plus years. I played in an elementary school. I played in a high school in New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Former law enforcement officer, and also a former Grambling State University alumni.
Wow, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
My music part of it was, I went to St. Augustine High School in New Orleans. That's one of the prominent schools in the state of Louisiana. St. Augustine High School. Some people say St. Aug. They call it the Purple Knights.
Yes.
I had a scholarship from Woodson Junior High to St. Augustine High School. I had a music scholar, which paid my way to go to school. It was a private school. So my music paid my tuition to go to St. Augustine. From St. Augustine, I went to Grambling State University. I had a music scholar. My music scholar helped pay my way to college. And from there, I went on back into the working field, and I played with various different groups, bands. I also played a little professional.
Right.
I played with you ever heard of the late Mahalia Jackson?
Oh, yes.
She was if I know she was the queen of gospel.
Sure.
I was a drummer
Wow.
back then. My uncle Elliot Bill, he was a maestro. He played organist, and that's what really got me in with Mahalia Jackson.
Right.
So whenever she came to New Orleans, I was a drummer there.
Understand.
We had a place called Rivergate. It's the casino down there now, but years ago it was called the Rivergate, and that's when Mahalia Jackson sung when she came to New Orleans.
I see.
When we had a Katrina. Katrina happened in New Orleans, Louisiana, and my father was from New Orleans, and he's from Mississippi. He's born here in Jefferson County, Mississippi, and I wasn't coming to Mississippi because I was going further for the storm, but my mother called me and said, "Son, where you going for the storm?" I said, "Mom, I'm going to Atlanta." I want to see your dad want to go to Mississippi. You know he had that amputated leg. I said, "Mother, I wasn't planning on going, but I noticed my mother and my father, and I couldn't leave them hanging." So
Exactly.
I came along to help them out here in Mississippi, and now I'm here, and I'm beginning to use my music to help the youths and the people here in the state of Mississippi and Claiborne County.
Now, what happens here in the Cultural Crossroads?
In the Cultural Crossroads, we do a lot of stuff. We do quilts, and we do a lot of the knitting stuff here. And it's a lot of stuff of history of Claiborne County.
Right.
I had to call when I first got here. I called myself an outsider because I was new here in Port Gibson. So I had to learn some things on what goes on in this county.
Sure.
And the Lord had given me. I went into the ministry since I've been here in Mississippi. The Lord called me and ordained me to preach and teach the Word of God. That's the first and foremost God Almighty that gave me the music career back then, not knowing what I was going to use it for.
Right, I understand.
And He brought it back to say, "I want you to help the youth here use your music. Also, besides your teaching and preaching, to help the youth to maybe can bring them back into the church and get them off the streets and give them something positive to do."
Right.
And that's what I do. I teach the youth. We got different sessions that we do here. We do it Monday through Saturdays. I got different hours.
Is it just drums or any percussion?
Well, it's all mostly drums, but I teach them also not how to just play, because a lot of us can play by ear.
Right.
But I teach them how to not only play, I'll teach them how to read music.
Very important.
And very important. So a lot of my students that I have had here is really advanced, because when they go off to another high school or college or wherever, they can read.
Right.
We have a lot of people in the world in the school areas and different places can play,
right?
But we put a sheet of music in front of them, they don't know how to read.
They don't know how to read it. Right, exactly.
So especially in the concert season of a high school band, you got a concert, you got a marching season, you got a concert season. In the concert season, you have to know how to read the music sheet.
Yes.
So a lot of my students come from me to learn how to read as well as play.
I understand.
Right, and I have students that met me a year and a half, and outstanding. They graduated, went on, and now someone was in the system come back to me today and tell me, "Reverend Chan, well, I'm playing at the church. Reverend Chan, I'm playing here over here."
Very good.
Right.
Very good. Do you use the drums in your church?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah, we do. We mainly have a drum at our church, but I may not, if the needs a backup, I come fill in.
Okay.
So I more to try to be there to help folk, to learn them how to play the music, how to play the drums, so they can move on in life with it to learn from.
Maybe after your sermon, you go back and say that was a little soft. Or
That's right.
A little critique goes on there.
That's right. And my man, my Lord, gave me says, "Stay fewed up." It says, "Stay fewed up with the Word of God." And so we got to learn how to be able to stay under, I call it the GPS. Now you may catch this here. It's not my phone GPS.
Right.
I stay on the GPS of God. G for God, P for present, S for spirit. God's present spirit. So if we stay under that GPS of God, He's going to lead us in the right way. So we stay under that spirit of God and give Him all honor and praise and glory first, and everything will fall in place.
You know, if someone said, "Boy, Reverend Oliver just has it right, and I want to talk more with him," can they get in touch with you?
Yes, they could. They can reach me at 504-432-9692. That's my cell number. I also have an email, which is oliverchambliss1@gmail.com. oliverchambers1 @gmail.com.